you know what I love? In the previous game, the maokai was not the difference maker for Wildcats against RNG. Reddit armchair analyst in shambles. We get to see it again this time around.
Hey, it ain't so, QuickShot.
Against DRX.
The Garen hover by Kingen right after
that.
the previous Garen game. Last second swap to Sejuani, giving a shout out there to the boys. Not gonna go for it though.
A lot of respect.
Cowards.
I do want to mention just again that Isurus Gaming, the way in which they lost their Teemo game earlier to RNG is heartbreaking. This is the second game of the day for them, and it's against DRX. You could not have had a more difficult day for any team in play-ins than what Isurus is having right now. And yes, they do have a hometown crowd in front of them, but one could argue that adds even more pressure to have those players in their home city.
Yeah, they were showing family before. Seiya's family, for example, was on broadcast yesterday a little bit. The team will cover themselves from Grell. DRX obviously taking the game very seriously still. They want to find these wins. We're talking a lot about Group B stakes, all the situations that can break out. So they are, sticking with tried and true right now. MF, one of the strongest. 80 carries, Sejuani as well. Aphelios coming in. Love to see it.
What do you think about it into the MF thus far? And seiya, if he locks in the Azir, I mean, this is now fairly clear in my eyes. Don't lose early, which means you cannot concede the early deaths you did against RNG. And there is a lot of scaling on this side already.
Yeah, they're kind of flipping the script completely. Last time they tried a bunch of cheesy solo lane picks and trying to flip the game early. Did not work out in their favor. Here they're going the other way, taking some of the most stable, strongest scaling matchups that they can. No surprise to see. Oh, actually, that is a surprise. It's a Yone coming in.
Okay, so Yone secured here. I'm taking a quick look through history. As far as I can see on Zeka, no games played this year. Taking a look at the top lane as well. Yeah, I actually cannot see Yone for anyone in DRX this year.
No, but I assume it's a Zeka champion just because a lot of people talk about how strong he is on melee champions. We saw his Akali, absolutely disgusting. I presume he has a Yasuo, has a Yone, has all these things that he can play if needed.
How many professional games does Zeka have on Yone?
On Yone? One.
Do you think he won it?
No.
My word, what an analyst, Mark.
I like how you're shaking your head and holding fingers up.
Don't spoil the magic.
That's what I do. If I was a magician, I'd be the guy revealing all the tricks on YouTube.
The Penn and Teller.
Selfishly.
Penn and Teller's bullshit. Here we go. Presented by MarkZ, breaking it down. Look, the only reason I love to look historically, not only is there no games played this year, the only games Zeka played, he did lose. This is not the expectation of, like, I'm not trying to be facetious in terms of this. It's just a fun fact to look back at. What I am nervous about is Yone is one of those champions that is an accelerator. MF is very, very good in the early stages of the game as well. So for a team like Isurus that needs time, that wants to not get bullied, beaten up, and like chased, the composition DRX will bring together can get in their face.
It absolutely can, especially combined with the Sejuani. Assuming that they find another, they will probably save counter pick for top lane, but I presume it's probably going to be a melee matchup given that you already have Sejuani. And so you're going to have these double melee solo lanes for them to use, stack up those Sejuani stacks, get a lot of chain ganks and skirmishes around the top side. And Yone himself, a strong matchup into the Azir. Once you get a couple levels, you can just kind of pop your W, dash at him, trade the autos, pop back, and usually come out ahead.
And again, the two bans here in phase 2 with amumu and TK, two of the sort of primary, sort of arguably best supports with Aphelios, two champions that will buy you time, will give you the ability to disengage and back away.
Reposition you if
Box,
you did.
flay, exactly. All of the tools that Isurus would have needed to get to that 2-3 item mark. They will be locking in this Viego, so expecting Viego jungle. Do you go maokai support? Am I reading this wrong? What do you think?
I assume that means the maokai is support. Could still be top lane as well. Maokai, Viego in lane, probably not the case, but it could be. We have seen maokai top once this tournament, I believe, so far already. I think we saw one support, one whole bunch of jungles. But, I think that this is a little surprising to see the Viego in this situation just because I feel like Viego is at his best in kind of messy game states where you're trying to come flying in. There's a lot of kills, a lot of souls to steal, and that is not really in line with the Isurus draft so far. And that was kind of actually my biggest complaint previously about their other draft. While it was very crazy with the Scion mid and stuff, it just felt like there was not something for the Scion mid to explicitly do because Teemo often wants to be isolated in the lane, building this kind of minefield around him. Sometimes the Isurus drafts leave me wondering exactly what angle they're trying to take.
Now, talk about the DRX draft. They've rounded it out with that Sylas to finish the composition. A lot of fantastic ultimates to steal for Kingen up in that top lane, but again, it's champions that go forward, the champions that can absolutely take over before Azir and Aphelios will get a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing about Sylas too is he's, like we said, kind of a scaling champion, and his biggest weakness, and the reason that oftentimes people wait to kind of pick it, not all the case as its priority has risen in this tournament, but historically you would often wait to see what you're playing into because his lane phase can be a little weak. You can get bullied a little bit. maokai, probably not the strongest lane phase still, even with some peel options. We talked about the counter engage available from the maokai. We have the shuffle for Azir. You can try and push all this melee dive off you, but they will have to weather the storm early on. The mid lane matchup, the Sejuani, even top, probably going to be able to scrap quite well against the maokai. It'll be a tough order for Isurus to pick up their wins. I believe the scores are backwards in the scoreboard right now.
I am extremely confident that is the case.
I've been following this tournament a little bit, Trevor.
I have too. I was following MSI too, but I forgot that we had Garrett top there.
That's true.
This one, however,
can't guarantee my mind, even if I have it working the event.
I am confident in. I love the way, by the way, that BeryL is just waiting in the river. Also, I'll just have one very brief aside. It's not on tone, so do forgive me. But every time I hear BeryL, I just think of an old British grandmother drinking tea. The name, the word, it just makes me think of
I think of Genshin Impact.
Okay, I don't know that game, so we'll have to slide on because BeryL, Pyosik, and Deft are stepping forward. Won't be able to find any of the CC. Then we'll find on the second bandage toss, but this is enough to push Grell away from red buff. Jelly comes forward. It is still secured by Pyosik, and he gets the flash from Grell. Grell is now caught in place. A third bandage toss is thrown. 150, 10 first blood to Grandma BeryL, and DRX walk away.
BeryL is bloodthirsty in the jungle. He missed his first bandage toss. I see what Grell, wanting to go back in, try and get that smite, but committing his flash fort into Sejuani and amumu is a death sentence. And as soon as he does not get the level 2 from it, his bot lane was collapsing, but was still not close enough to really do anything about it. Just gets chased down, dies, loses red buff, doesn't have any experience yet completed. Going up to the top side to start his clear. This is not the start his team needed.
If there is one thing I will take away from it, during the draft, if I recall correctly, Mark, you said Viego, you kind of like Viego and games are going to be a bit scrappier, a bit more chaotic. We started off exactly that way. Can Grell turn it around? We'll have to find out.
Yeah, I don't think dying level 1 is...
That was not the intention.
Yeah, here I was a little surprised to see BeryL just throw that bandage toss out immediately. I thought he was going to maybe take a second to line it up as we see some skirmishing on the picture. Here, he lands the second one just to be like, look, yeah. I can land this.
And the next one as well, I believe.
Yeah, this flash forward, though, is just such a strange commitment to me because even if you get that, you're still 2v1 here, stacking them up. There's that third bandage toss coming through, like you said. Grell just, I don't know, having a tough go of things today.
Definitely not going to heaven at the start of this game. Pyosik has got that flash available to him. Gavotto and Jelly going to step out. They're not in lane either. I will give you those maokai numbers just because I want to, but of the 10 games that we've seen him, 1-0 in the top lane, 1-0 in support, 6-2 when it comes to jungle. So an undefeated maokai top record. Seiya will get a good amount of damage. Zeka in that mid lane, Jelly hanging about in the bottom. The crowd is electric. They are very, very excitable. Obviously, for the hometown players, Grell will find the route, the engage, headbutt, pulverized, down to 150. Zeka's burning, but I don't think he'll die. Grell takes a couple turret shots, so swing and a miss from Isurus.
Yeah, I like the idea there, getting the stun on him, but I think Grell needs to commit a little bit more damage. Otherwise, it was just a low-level Azir poking away. Obviously, Alistar's not bringing quite enough damage, and so Zeka's able to get out of there just fine. Staying around now, actually, to catch this big wave that's coming into him.
Yeah, right now, DRX 500 up, BeryL's roaming as well. Deft has just finished the recall, and Jelly will just go for that headbutt to get BeryL away. Turn our attention to the top lane. Chains land onto ADD. Currently down 6 CS, got a significant minion wave in front of him. So one can assume that Kingen has been playing the trade game or trying to bully. He'll try to catch up those numbers just a little bit. Did the cannon go down? I didn't quite see if he picked it up.
I wasn't watching.
Yeah, I think that might have been a -1. I think chat will know for sure.
Chat is always on top of him. I've never not seen chat say it.
Yeah.
Even when you get it sometimes, chat's a little over-eager.
Yeah, 1 or 2 people will type it, and then you know, as chat likes to do.
So where I was going to go with that was I was rewatching the bot side situation because Deft got zoned away from the wave for a little bit, as well as BeryL getting that kill meant he was slow to get back there, and they were down levels, and that's why they had gotten shoved in on a little bit. They tried to find that angle to get some first play. You can see Gavotto, level 4, trying to pressure. I appreciate the Isurus Gaming's bot lane trying to salvage all these situations, playing aggressively after the invade went bad.
Oh, that's
this
a hit.
Might be too aggressive.
Pyosik's right here, Pyosik's right here. Bandage Toss will find the target. Defensive flash away from Gavotto. Cleanse is available to him and just used. Here comes Grell. A two-man knockup from the Pulverize will not be enough to save Gavotto's life. And Jelly down to 200, 100. Below that, and Deft secures the kill. Another 2 for DRX. The timing on that Hex Flash could not have been more unlucky.
Yeah, just no vision to know that Pyosik was coming into the river right then. They find that kill. Obviously, Deft popping off now, 1-0-1. BeryL, 2-0-1, getting all those kills on the amumu in this game. Very quickly going south for Isurus yet again.
This is where I do get frustrated a touch. With the champions that Isurus have put together, with that small advantage they had over Deft momentarily, did they need to go for that Hex Flash engage on the bottom? Could they have pushed that way forward? You know, you have a composition that wants time and items and levels. You're also behind in kills. They will be able to secure a dragon. This is good. This is cheeky. But the point I want to get at is, I understand you are playing for your tournament life. I understand you want to win it, earn it on your merits. But patience is a skill that could have been rewarded in that bottom five.
It's definitely a situation where Isurus' mentality of aggression not necessarily matching their draft, as you see a nice poke back there, but Zeka getting the reset, going all the way back. Just feels like they want to play this really aggressive, fast-paced game, but have drafted a fair amount of scaling and stability for more of a front-to-back team fight setting, and that is being betrayed a little bit by how they're choosing to approach this game.
And I mean, this is one of those moments again where there's a phrase that I think I'm using describe it like chasing the loss, right? Where you are chasing, you're trying to set something up, you're trying to put yourself in a position to either claw back the deficit, but ultimately it puts you further behind, you know, because of that mentality and that mindset. The double down, I like that. What I will acknowledge though is that Isurus, despite being down 1,500, there have been quite a few moments, glimpses here that have looked respectable to good, right? Like the bottom lane advantage that was secured, the engages onto Zeka. There's a minor CS lead in that top lane. It is still a gargantuan, monumental task to climb up, but considering where Isurus were at 8 minutes against RNG, this is looking better.
It's not quite as bad. 2,000 gold down, but your solo lanes both, like you said, farming well, not actually behind the pace of the game. I think with seiya was just up there with the second most currently in the game. So doing okay, but the problem is the spillover that's going to happen. Obviously, Zeka can get first move quite often, hover down this bot side. Gavotto and Jelly needing to stay safe under their turret. The turret plays have not really started coming in yet for the side of DRX, but you have to imagine they'll start grabbing those soon. Especially if they target this Rift Herald, they should easily be able to control that one.
I mean, a reminder what the analyst desk was saying for Isurus. If they lose this game, they're eliminated from playoffs. They will be playing the Wildcats tomorrow for their 5th and final game. Also, from the perspective of DRX, secure first tower in every single one of the games they played. Either they are second or first in almost every statistical category when it comes to goal difference, experience, first towers. I think they get first dragons in second, 80-odd% of the games. And the engage will come in. That's a kill onto Grell. Jelly gets caught up by the bandage toss. BeryL lined up the first, he lined up the second. No access to that sad mummy, and those chakrams are flying slowly back to Gavotto, but DRX, they get their kill, they extend that gold lead a little further. I think it's the control that they are exerting is great, but kudos again to seiya. Popped off, he got that Akali. Correction. Yeah, I've got the wrong player in my head in a moment. Seiya, this time around, has been able to have a couple of good kills here onto Zeka, or good plays onto Zeka, but hasn't netted an advantage.
Yeah, getting the flash out of Zeka feels pretty good, not needing to commit his own, especially on the tail end of Grell dropping again. There does not look like a very fair combination.
BeryL this time around, bandage tosses forward, uses that stopwatch, buys some time, forced to flash for his life, didn't have the damage onto Gavotto, who instantly cleansed and walked away. We are descending, Mark, into a little bit of chaotic, skirmish-heavy game, and Grell hasn't yet been able to show his impact.
No, not quite yet. Has shown up for a couple lanes, trying to make things happen, hasn't gotten it done quite yet. DRX looking very good, 4 kills. Pyosik coming back in. I'm very curious exactly the decision-making process right now between him and Juhan. Pyosik in the playoff run was struggling. They made the swap to Juhan. That's what they used for the entirety of the Live Sandbox series that they won. He looked substantially better. No shade, just that Pyosik was struggling. And then they started using him in the first game. Pyosik wins against RNG. Everyone's like, whoa, he's back. Then it was just Juhan again. Now it's back to Pyosik. I wonder if they're just trying to keep both in form based off of how they're playing on the day in the best of 5. If they want to make that swap, you do want to make them feel comfortable playing on the world stage already. I can see that mentality of we're both going to give relatively equal amount of play through the play-ins and group stage, assuming that they move on. So that way, in knockout, they're both ready to go.
And theoretically, like, arguably as well, some small advantages to hiding how an individual player plays an individual champion to some degree, as well as allowing that jungler to pay attention, watch closely some of their opponents. Not 100% certain whether DRX are going to win this group, but you anticipate it to be the case. That is going to be the kill secured on behalf of ADD, taking down BeryL, now at the cost of Grell's life. Jelly's going to be the target for Zeka, secures the kill. 2 members of Isurus are down. Pyosik's trying to prevent the blast going, but he can't do it just yet. 100 HP as ADD's forced to flash for his life. Now Gavotto's the next target. Flash available to him. He gets underneath his inner turret. Won't be able to find enough damage for the kill. Here comes Zeka. Soul unbound. Will not be able to get the damage back underneath the tower. Not going to be able to find the root, and Zeka gets out. DRX push in deep. They've maintained that 3,000 gold lead and 6 kills to 1.
6 kills to 1. Isurus did pick up their first one onto BeryL there, but not the critical target for them to lock down. I think they want to insta-give him before he get his ultimate off here. So you see Jelly going to channel this Hex Flash, get right on top of him, I believe is going to get a knock-up. And then they try to get Seiya's ultimate on top as well. This like 100-0 combo, but BeryL critically is able to get his ult off there. I believe that's his ult that he got. Maybe not actually, not the case. I think I got trolled by Sejuani ultimate looking similar to me. But the fact that you're killing BeryL is not the critical target necessarily, so you have Deft free hitting from the entire time on the backside. You don't really even have Kingen there. You have, of course, Zeka popping off damage as well, so cute idea, did not end up working out.
I'm gonna have this moment where I'm actually now pissed off at Isurus Gaming for putting Seiya on Sion earlier in the day. His Azir has looked significantly better than the impact he had on Sion. And when I look at all of the champions that Seiya has played this year, Azir is his most. Orianna, LeBlanc, Sylas, Lissandra, all the champions with agency in play. You're seeing him at least set things up and play well. Ultimately, it's not netting Isurus the advantages they want. I think every time we look at that minimap, DRX are pushing into the jungle of Isurus, they're pushing deep wards, there's a lot of roaming. This has been a very mobile game so far.
So the funny thing is, when I was watching Seiya's play and following some of the community conversation in LATAM about him a little bit, is that I saw shades of that kind of what I call Bjergsen syndrome, where you're oftentimes the best player on your team. You pick these kinds of scaling things that are going to be very powerful, but that don't necessarily have a ton of agency. And then you see he's gonna live here again.
Does for now. Grell steps forward. Zeka's low.
Yeah, nothing gonna come out in the tail end of this play. So Seiya's in the situation where he plays very well, doesn't make a ton of mistakes, but also not the most risky player. And so sometimes people feel he has low game impact despite being oftentimes the best player on some of his teams. And then when you put him on situations like a Sion to try and have really big impact, that doesn't speak to a lot of his strengths.
Yeah, unfortunately, and this time round, they're margining behind CS plus 20 in favor of Zeka. The kill secured onto Gavotto. This is trying to turn this one around. Emperor's Divide is on cooldown. The re-engage from Zeka finds it. Jelly's got no unbreakable will available to him, so he drops 2-3 members secured. Zeka's going to step backwards. That Fate unsealed on cooldown as well. The tower's being focused. The plates are being focused. And in what is, 3-4 minutes? It's gone from 2,000 gold to nearly 6,000. Actually, just over 6,000.
Turret plates just dropped it right before they got that charge off. Unlucky for DRX there, but still another skirmish going heavily in their favor. The fact that they got Seiya's ultimate out in the mid lane prior on that dive where he had to save himself with it meant that when he went flying in to cover that play, he did not have it available. BeryL also had a nicely timed ult right as Seiya started shuffling in to find that kill. Here, ADD getting a little aggressive. He's actually going to win this.
Get it! The healing from Sylas brought him right back in. Zeka's chasing, hunting, kill the bird, and he does for the solo in this middle lane.
Off the reset, Zeka TP's back in, finds the solo kill with the extra influx of gold, up to 5-0-1 now. This is why people are praising his melee champions. He can absolutely take over the game. Took a little bit to get rolling on the Azir matchup. matchup, but now that he's ahead, he's cracked his mid lane turret. He's up 30 CS. He is dominating.
And such a great play. Mark, I'm going to ask you an easy, quick stat question, because you know I love them. How many Elder Dragons have been killed at play-ins so far?
0.
Good job, boss. How many Cloud Dragons have been killed at Worlds so far?
Gavotto apparently got solo killed?
Yes, he did. There we go. Double up. Dunk, dunk. Get dunked. That was happening while we were watching this fight down the middle. Yeah.
Very scrappy game. There's that ultimate by BeryL I was talking about right as Seiya came flying in, locked him up so he couldn't get any auto attacks in with the soldiers that he was following. Allowed Zeka to get in there and start finding those kills as well.
I'm not leaning you away from my quick stats quiz. How many
No, I mean, look, there's another solo kill. We gotta talk about this one. Hey, now look, Zeka's gonna die for that too.
He will die indeed,
We need to talk about this. We need to talk about this.
6,500 gold up. They were able to secure themselves one of those Cloud Drakes, which is what I've been trying to get you to predict it. DRX going to look for another tower. They've got 3. 2 in the middle lane, 1 in the bottom lane, looking to take another. This will be the 4th secured. I'll tell you what, I'll ask one quick set question, and then I'm going to let it go and move on. Which dragon is the most killed at Worlds?
It's got to be Hextech.
You are correct.
Okay.
Do you want to hazard a guess at how many?
There's probably a way I could sit here and think about how many spawn a game, how many Hextech rips
Don't overthink, just throw a number at me.
25.
Man, 22. That's actually a really good guess. So 22, it is the most killed dragon. Anyone that's watching my quick stat seconds knows I love dragon stats. Completely irrelevant, not very useful, but hey, it is a lot of fun. Isurus Gaming are not having any fun right now.
They killed Zeka. That might have been a little bit of fun.
To 2. And as it stands, look at that gold graph. ADD, the only member doing well, 130 CS. He's got 2 of the kills secured. Part of the reason why. But DRX now, they've just put their foot in the gas, and now they are looking, securing more and more kills.
Yeah, there was nice trades in lane. It looked like as well for the maokai into the Sylas. We did talk about how the fact that Sylas is not really a counter pick that you lock into slam lane. You pick it into lanes that you can survive and then utilize the insane ratios that he has, like we talked about, the hijacking of ultimates. Not too much of a surprise to see Kingen getting through that lane phase without dying. Actually up CS, he's actually been very good, had some pressure as well on the top side. But been pretty isolated from an 11-kill game, no kill participation. Another one of these greedy top laners.
Yeah, I mean, just sitting there. Or lazy, maybe, you know. Lazy's a better one. Just sticking
you know
there, not getting involved.
It's like,
you know?
if I think my team's going to win anyways,
yes,
I'm just going to chill up here.
That's it. You see what I mean? I think it's pure laziness. That's how I would interpret it. Please don't clip that. As DRX now continue to just extend this
LEC caster calls top lane of DRX lazy.
As it stands, Isurus now in a very, very difficult situation. They do have scaling. They do have some team fight on the cards, but it is going to be such a difficult task to bring this back, and they have to do this to keep the hopes alive, because if they lose this game, they're eliminated. They have one last chance to pick up a win in front of the home crowd for at least some of those Mexican players.
Will be very difficult. Like that's 3 out of 5 from Mexico City, but I like to play this game with like magic number of like what in my head is what this comp can acceptably be behind in order to still be in a decent spot. You know, when they have those bots showing win probabilities.
How long until the window is closed on coming back in some way?
Yeah, just like when do you drop below, you know, like a 50% win probability based off how the game is going and that kind of thing. And for me, it would have been like maybe 2.5K, around 15 for this comp, the fact that you're down.
So we are more than 300% above that estimated number at this time at 7.5.
And I would say that they are probably at about 10%. That is supposed to be skill agnostic as well, when you're just talking strictly comps, champions in the game.
Champion, if executed to, you know, the way their intention. Zeka does get jumped on right now, stays alive, soul unbound, gets him to safety inside the pit. The shield has popped up, and ADD joins the fray. The Nature's Grass is thrown down. Kingen re-engages, finds the chains, the lockdown, the hold. Curse of the Sad Mummy still available. Curse of the Sad Bullet Time still available. Waiting for it to be fired out. Nobody's died just yet. Pyosik's the next target. 1 for 1. Gavotto flashes in for that, but it's a double for Deft. Can he dunk anymore? 1-2 more secured for DRX, and Gavotto's running for his life.
Isurus Gaming try to contest the second Rift Herald. They actually have a decent start to that fight, kiting out the ultimate from Kingen when he was Alistar'd up, waited for that to time out, then tried to find that re-engagement. Like we said, so much gold behind. If you could get to that fight at the goal differences we were just talking about, Yes, you can maybe win that fight.
You are in my head, Mark, because
I don't like it.
I go back to the Hex Splash engage from earlier, that little bit of impatience that puts them a little further behind. Now, not the only reason, but again, here's that great fight once more.
Yeah, the fact that they go in, they have Zeka low early on in the fight, so he can't quite dominate it the way he wants to. Kingen goes in there, he's like, I got my Alistar ult, I can buy space for this. You know, Isurus reset the fight, they kite it out, ADD providing frontline to make sure that seiya is safe, and now, obviously, DRX wants to finish off the Rift Herald, but that keeps him around, so you get this flash re-engage here. And you might have been able to win this fight if you just had more items completed, that you were a little closer in goal, but BeryL stalls this fight out nicely with the flash re-engage. Gavotto gets that one kill here. I think there's miscommunication between him and seiya. Seiya wants to go flash, engage Deft, and push him towards Gavotto for Gavotto to complete the kill, but he had already backed out.
Yeah, Gavotto 1-4-2. He's just been jumped on so often this game. 10,000 goal difference. And I want to make it very clear so I don't get misinterpreted here, is that I think Isurus were always such heavy underdogs. DRX really could have played the game in many different ways. You almost always see them coming out on top. Because I think Grell actually got that blue buff, by the way. But the point I want to get to is that that team fight was a glimpse of excellence, a glimpse of what they could do. Unfortunately, they were down nearly 8,000 gold. And with Gavotto being down, DRX are just looking to secure this Baron. I mean, Nature's Grasp was thrown for the lols, doesn't get followed up. There's no AD carry. They really want the damage for Aphelios. And with that Baron buff now, DRX can continue to play. They can even look to play the side lanes. And there is going to be a setup. The bullet time is firing over seiya. Forced to flash to safety. Stays alive thanks to the heal for now. And actually escapes. But for how long?
The bounce!
Double up! Deft manages to make it work. The hijacked Nature's Grasp does more than what ADD could do in the pit. And DRX are looking to shut the coffin on ISG's Worlds.
DRX respond to the play in the mid lane from Isurus. BeryL again with the quick ultimate, locking up seiya for the bullet time. And from there was an easy chase down, finding all those kills, dropping Shelly in the mid lane with Baron. Trevor, I'm smelling a dancing herald.
No ways, no ways, no ways. Will the Rift Herald dance? Charge is coming in, 3,000. Shelly and Gavotto stepping forward. Shelly is running low, 1,700.
Don't do it, Grell. Don't
Shelly dies. Shelly dies. So do the playoff hopes for Isurus. DRX are hunting. Picking up sharks where they can. Kingen is trying to keep Deft up as well. Stepping for the Nexus is being focused by BeryL. The sad mummy head-butting away. As all of a sudden, that's a Deft going golden thanks to the Hourglass. Baron empowered minions doing work. Another for Kingen. At this point, it's bullying. They're dead already. As Isurus Gaming are eliminated from playoffs. DRX pick up the win.
DRX speed run that final game of the day here. 22.5 minutes, just about 22:41. That might be the new fastest game of Worlds so far. I believe Loud held the previous record.
I'm gonna go on record. I believe that is the fastest game of Worlds play-ins. Great catch, Mark.
There we go. DRX move up to 4-0, looking absolutely dominant here. Setting up a very highly anticipated matchup against Mad Lions tomorrow.
And of course, for Isurus Gaming, one last matchup against the Wildcats. The only two teams sitting at 0.